G'day guys, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. A little bit of a mixed bag this week. I've been waiting for a few things to come in and finally they're here. So it'll just be a mixed bag of what's happened. A little bit of machining. I'm making an adapter plate that I'm probably wasting my time doing, and I've wasted also a bit of tube plate for a small Briggs boiler, but I didn't know I was getting this until that arrived. And that's a bit of a long story. I bought it from a motor importer and I told him I needed the spigot on the flange mount attachment of 115mm diameter, and please ensure that before you ship it. So I get a message saying, I'm shipping your motor and I've charged you for it, but the spigot's 124mm. I thought, well, what bloody use is that? So I started making an adapter flange to use the motor. I get onto their technical website and 124mm is the distance between the mounting holes on the foot mount motor, nothing to do with the flange. And the flange is supposed to be correct. So wipe the brow there a little bit. Went down to our friends, the Big Green Shed, and got a little plug of B-plugs, or packet of B-plugs. That'll be for blanking off a few wires in hard to get to areas. And I'm going to replace a jockey block connector inside the frame, which is probably nearly as old as me, so I doubt its insulation value is anything near correct. Also last week I forgot to show you a small shaft adapter, and I'll do that later in this episode. It's a really handy idea to use metric standard shank cutters in an imperial grinding adapter or attachment, and that's something you've always got to keep in mind. You don't need to spend a lot of money on exotic collets, and not everything is 5C or ER collets. There's about 40 different collets, and for instance on my Royal Oak relief grinding attachment, if I want a Royal Oak collet, they're about $80 US plus shipping. So it's a good reason to make a little adapter that takes half an hour or less. Anyway, let's see what's in the magic box and if the guy has sent me the right thing. Well, that was easy done. They've got it in halves now, so you don't have to struggle so much with the bloody thing. Looks fairly well packed. Except trying to get your damn hands in there. Out it comes. And very lucky the whole lot didn't go arse overhead. It's about the same physical size. And this is supplied both in foot mount and flange mount. And that's the criteria across there. And I would say, despite his worst efforts, the bloody thing's going to fit. Across there is 115mm. That's the important part. I will have to make adapter studs because of the shape of the flange, or drill and tap the flange to quarter BSF, which is what the standard item is, but I can put any size studs in because it's just plain holes up into the motor attachment underneath. And this plate comes off fairly easily. It's only a little poo slinger on the shaft there. And it even comes with a key. Not fixed with a screw, but near enough. That's better than no key at all. The original was a 1 horsepower motor, sorry, a quarter horsepower. This is a 1 horsepower, although the frame size is the same. It's a B56 frame. Okay, I'll show you a bit more about what we were doing during the week. Back soon. Okay guys, this is our setup for making the adapter plate. I don't know if I'll need it or if it will be as useful as I would like it to be, but we'll finish off this hole anyway and give you a bit of an idea what I was doing. This is awful to machine, just boilerplate low carbon steel, makes a hell of a lot of noise and not my favourite material to work with. As the older machinists would say, just send it. You can't afford to be a sook with it. I don't think I've ever managed to get a good finish on this material. Just making sure I'm clear of the chuck jaws. Oh boy, it's very close back there. Well, that's that job done. Now I can turn it around, face the other side most of the way out, deburr it, and then put the other jaws back in the chuck and turn the OD. So I'll bring you back when that part's ready to be done. I'm probably wasting my time here, but hey, it's got to be done. Okay guys, I've just turned the workpiece around and the jaws. Just face off this side quickly. Now I was taught the old British system where you face from the inside out. A lot of guys don't do that, and a lot of guys don't put the lathe in gear properly. That's not very good at the moment. That's good. Aha. That should be better. Didn't put it in gear again. Silly old goat. Yes, that's a lot better. We'll just skim out 5 thou. Now I'm only taking a very light facing cut because I don't know what's going to be needed at the end of this process. So I'm just preparing the material so I'll be able to mark it out and drill it where appropriate. Now I've just checked the difference in the mount holes between the existing gearbox flange and the new motor flange, and there's about 10 or 11 millimeters in difference. So I'm of two minds whether I relocate the holes in the gearbox, which is a big job, or drill and tap new holes for studs in the motor flange, which I think will be the way I'll go. But I could still need an adapter plate, so I'll finish the job. This is up in the lathe. I think that'll do for now. Debert. Now I'll swap the jaws over. That's another thing I was taught by St Albans Tech. Every now and again you'll drop something, and if you don't want to damage the lathe bed, put a bit of wood there. Luckily, a little wobble socket drive just fits in the chuck jaw drivers. When I took these jaws off, I was lucky to get them off. There was a couple of really big pieces of shite caught right in the very beginning of the scrolls. There we go. Number 3. Number 2. And now number 3. And just to be Irish, to be sure, to be sure, to be sure. We didn't get that wrong. Oh boy, you should have bored it out a little bit first. Okay, I'll reset it and bring you back. Okay, here's me at it again. I remounted it, and it's not dead central on what it was before, but it doesn't matter because I'm creating the centre. I've got to open it up about another 15 millimetres before it'll go over the jaws when I put them back in. Should have thought of that while I had it up, but we don't always think. One thing I am short on is a decent medium-sized boring bar. I've got a 32 mil shank for a TPMR insert, but I need about a 20 or 22 mil 25 mil, sorry. But that'll be one day in the future when I'm buying more tools. This little TCMT insert, you can't push it more than about 15th hour pass through it. Just doesn't want to work. Okay, let's make a little bit of noise. It's only going to be a few passes like this and I'll be able to swap it around. But even at this light feed pressure, like 15th hour depth of cut, it's still spring cuts on the way out. I think I'll be doing what old Don Dyer does. Sorry Don, it's what Don Dyer does. And regrind the insert flat on the top and make it into a sharp cutting tool. But as the plate's not that thick this time around, it doesn't really matter. The insert curls the swarf nicely, but it curls it back into the hole that you're boring. And if you're boring a long hole, it packs the bloody hole full of shite, and that flexes the boring bar away from where you want it to be. So once again, not the best of designs. It's what they could come up with cheaply. This easy work is somewhat therapeutic, if that's the right word. And this bore doesn't have to be accurate, it's got to be taken out to 115 millimetre if I use it. I'm just taking that big enough now that I can finish facing off and doing the OD, and then I'll make the bore true to the OD. At the moment it's got quite a big whoopsie in it. And this should, I think, bring us out to enough to swap the jaws over again. No, a little bit more, another couple of passes, which aren't that tedious. Unless you're watching me doing it, I suppose. Now I haven't mounted the big boring bar up on a tool holder because I don't do a lot of big work like that. And I'm running out of tool holders even though I made half a dozen. By the time I've got now my chamfering tool and parting tool up there. And a couple of turning tools, that's it. I don't have any more quick change holders. I have a couple of blanks there, but I haven't threaded them for the clamping screws yet. And they were a little time consuming to make. Not all that big a job, but you've got a lot of V's, or big chamfers, where they mount up to the tool post. And I'll come back and spring past it, that so it doesn't look all gnarly on the inside. They're still machines like shit, even with a small insert like this, but the 04 radius is just very difficult to get a decent finish. Okay, well, I'm not going to show you me changing the jewels over yet again, so I'll swap them around and get it ready to do the OD. You know, I keep forgetting to bring you back when it's bloody working properly. Holy hell. Finally got it reset. I'm just taking a light pacing cut. This is all about getting it to shape before we do the bore proper. I'll just face all the crap off this, then quickly do the OD to get it round, turn it around, face the other side, and then it's time for marking out. It's missing out a bit there, so I might crank it out and take another 5 there. Make another cut. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't like that oxy cut scale. I'm surprised they're still using oxy. That's one of the more expensive methods. This should come up okay, this pass, and I'll turn the OD, spin it around, just face the other side off. Tell me time to feed the face. It would be good to have a lathe like Max Grant's, where the RPM increases the closer you go into towards the centre, but you can't have everything. Just have to make sure I don't turn into the chuck jaws again. Now we're looking for a 115mm diameter register for the spigot. That's a big word for me, register. So we'll just pull up a little bit shy of that. That'll keep us away from those pesky chuck jaws. I think the bore's out to about 65 or 70 mil now. I'd say that's getting reasonably close. Yeah, I'm inside the 115, so that'll be okay. Reset the forward feed and longitudinal. That should be okay. Like a mouse going backwards. That's better. Yep, we're feeding the right way. You're in another 10. Sounds like the horse running a bloody race there. At this higher peripheral speed, we're getting a better finish. Still a bit intermittent. I don't take too big a cut. I don't know how well it's gripped in the centre there. Yeah, still got the whoopie-doos in it. It's turning beautifully so far. Yep, bumpity dump, back again. That's into the skin. A few sparks coming off the towel. Okay, that's enough plain turning for you. Bring you back when the blank's finished. Well guys, it's the old goat back again. There's a rough blank of the adapter flange. One side will be drilled and counterbored for socketed cap screws that will go into the motor, and then there will be 4 studs coming out of here to go up under the gearbox and the nuts on top. For the moment, I still have to put the motor up, and as I said earlier, it arrived with a 114.3 flange, which I didn't expect, so it might bloody well fit after all. But I had no other use. I'd destroyed this piece of boiler tube plate by putting a hole in the middle, so I may as well finish up what I was up to. Okay, we'll move over to the TNC grinder and I'll show you that adapter that I promised earlier. Okay guys, I did a couple of these several months ago now when I was grinding some countersinks for a fellow I know, and Bucker me sent me a whole lot of countersinks with metric shanks. And my form relief grinder, which has collets like that aren't 5C and are worth a bloody fortune, doesn't have anything in metric. It's a very old machine like me and it's imperial. So luckily it has a 1-inch collet, and I still have a few feet left of 1-inch bright bar. I set it up in the 4-jaw chuck held by the 3-jaw chuck in the lathe and banged it around. It was in 100th of a millimetre, drilled it, reamed it to, I think that's 10 millimetre, and just a little grub screw in from the side with a bit of a flat to start it off. And total run out on the shanker to countersink in the attachment was under 200ths of a millimetre, which is acceptable when you're regrinding something like this. You want to try and get that hole as central as possible, and for that I used a spotting drill rather than a centre drill, and then a pre-reaming drill, and then left about 10th thou to ream out. And look, it came out surprisingly well. The original American collet, even though it's a little worn, it's worn evenly and it still pulls up fairly straight into the attachment. And like I said, less than 200ths of a millimetre run out. But I've got 10, 12 and I think 16 mil in these holders. And it doesn't take much to make holders for all the common size metric shanks. Makes life a little bit easier. So a little bit of a tip for you from an old goat. Okay guys, I'm going to sign off again. It's that time of day where I've got to feed the face. I just thought I'd show you what I've been up to and why I've been delayed. I can now get the horizontal bore running, I hope, and get around to facing these, I hope. So it's fix a machine to build a tool, to fix a tool, to get a tool and cutter grinder running again, and then I might start to do the dovetail slides on both the Clarkson and the Wrong Fu. So it's a job that I'm leading up to. Okay, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and keep all your fingers. Be safe in the bloody shop. Bye for now.